Welcome back, monsters!
It's that time again for a before and after with Nick Izumi.
And Rena Innocenti.
And as promised, we are showing up for Godzilla 2014.
Which we have been counting down to.
It's been bad. We've been really excited for this movie.
I've been posting way too many weird videos of my plushie Godzilla onto Vine.
It's been getting, a little cartoonish. I guess I don't have to wait for much longer. I'm really excited for this movie. This is an interesting before and after. For my before thoughts.
We don't have any information. We just have toys.
I started out, when this movie was first announced, I was actually not very excited for it, because I was like, oh boy, another American Godzilla movie. But then, as things came out, I became cautiously optimistic.
And then excited.
And then just straight up excited. Like, the early stuff, when it was just, oh, monster, oh, destruction, oh, bleak destruction, darkness, all I could think was, oh god, this... And then when the first trailer was just army guys, I was like, oh boy, is this gonna be like Transformers? Because I don't
Mamoru Oshii Godzilla movie?
Mm-hmm. It's a good way. Yeah, like, I was really worried. It's like, oh, this better not be like another one of those. We're gonna call it Godzilla.
And it's not gonna be about Godzilla. But no, it looks more and more and more and more like it's going to be spectacular.
I'm really excited for this now. Like I said before, I was kind of and then the more the trailers have been coming out, the more excited I am. The more I mean, at this point, we're hearing a lot more positive buzz. I'm really looking forward to going into this movie, and I don't know if I have. I guess the only other point I want to make is I hope that the bad guy monsters, the Mutos, if you will, or I guess that's
Muto
or Mutos.
Number is questionable until later. Sorry about that ding. Number is questionable until later.
Yeah, but I'm really hoping that the monster that Godzilla is fighting will stick out. Because I was saying to Rena the other day, something I've noticed about modern movies is that our villains just have not been particularly awesome or memorable in the last 10 years or so. It hasn't been a good time for memorable villains.
No.
It's been a good time for really mediocre villains like White Khan and pretty much
all Iron Man villains.
I would say everyone who Iron Man has fought.
Yeah.
If you guys want an impression of what I mean by mediocre villains. Actually, the doofy Romulan guy in the first Star Trek, for that matter.
How about Bane?
Yeah, definitely Bane.
Yeah, so those are mediocre villains, and I'm hoping Muto's gonna be much more baller of an opponent.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, wondering, like, do you call... I mean, as we've been rewatching these old Godzilla movies, it's weird that I'm feeling this excited for one that isn't a suit actor Godzilla. I don't know how to...
I think because Pacific Rim, the monsters looked so good, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
That's true, and same studio. Different animation team, but same studio, so...
Same level of quality. Legendary's been very good to us.
Yeah, which is surprising, because we just dissed their last big villain, Bane.
Well, he wasn't CG.
That's true. He might have been better if he was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tragic.
Do you have any thoughts going in, Rena, or just...
I'm interested in seeing hulked out Godzi. And I honestly like and appreciate the fact that it can move like a lizard. And, you know, I don't care so much about previous Godzilla movies going into it, because it's a whole nother beast of its own. Sorry for the pun. No, I'm not going to apologize.
You already did apologize.
Yeah, I know. And it's something that I'm looking forward to a lot.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to focus today at work because of it.
Same.
We were both very excited.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
And I've been drawing all sorts of kaiju pictures left and right. We're gonna have to post some with this video.
Probably, yes. So let's... we're going in very excited. We'll be...
Our screening's in about an hour.
In about an hour, yeah. And then probably in about 3 hours after that...
3 or 4.
We'll be recording what we think about it, so...
Yeah.
Till then, which will not be a very long wait for you guys, we'll see you on the flip side.
See you on the flip side. And I'm gonna advocate right now, before the cut, that we go get those SD Kaiju toys.
Good idea.
You guys should also get SD Kaiju toys. They're adorable. Ciao. Welcome back, my Kaiju buddies.
And we just got out of Godzilla, or we got home from Godzilla.
And I don't think I can do this without spoilers.
Yeah, let's just, say right off the bat that, well, let's try to do some as little spoiler as possible, and then go full out. Can we do that? Let's try that. If we can't keep away from spoilers, you have been forewarned.
It's pretty to look at. And the soundtrack is amazing.
I have super mixed feelings. This is one of those movies where the parts I like, I love.
And Tahiti, and something happened in Budapest, and,
But yeah, this is one of those movies where the parts that I liked, I loved. And there wasn't anything that I outright hated. So, yeah, this is definitely,
This is on the better side.
This is on the better side of the spectrum. I will say Gareth Edwards, this Welsh, I believe he's Welsh, the director of this, actually understands what these Toho Kaiju movies are about. The plot definitely feels like something from a classic Godzilla movie, which is good.
I feel like it replaced one of the things on my top 5 list, but I'm not quite sure what. I think it may have replaced 2000 as my runner-up.
I overall really...
But then again, I haven't watched too many yet.
I still really like the movie. I wouldn't put it on my favorite list quite.
That's why it's on my runner-up.
Yeah, okay. That's a good spot for it. Honestly, my... well, should we start with positives, or should we start with...
We're gonna start spoiling it. I'm sorry. Because I can't speak about it without spoiling it.
Okay, let's just say
the entire thing is a spoiler because there was no...
Spoilers ahoy, because, yeah, the trailer does not tell you what the plot is at all, which was good. So, big spoiler right off the bat, we're back to, the movies that I always liked as a kid, Godzilla's the hero. Those were my favorite when I was a kid.
Our little plushie, Godzilla, came along with us because I'm a dork like that, and I brought him. And, yeah, he and I, we both just kind of, like, as soon as we realized that Godzilla was the hero, I nearly, like, stood up and cheered in my seat.
It was
but
really,
I didn't.
It was really cool. They set up, this Godzilla was the hero of the story, which was very neat.
There was a lot of, like, fist pumping in this one, for me.
Same. Not as much as what I had with Pacific Rim, where I was cheering a lot. But, yeah.
Because the villains in this actually carried weight.
Yeah. I wish we could have seen more of Godzilla himself.
You know, I'm actually fine with a mostly hidden kaiju fight.
I'm not... But I also thought about something in the theater, and maybe I'm reading into it too much, and tell me if I am.
Sequel bait?
No, well, partly yes, but I think part of it is this comes to a lot of special effects blockbusters, and what sets tokusatsu kind of apart from American special effects movies is that when you're a live-action director, you need to have something to film. And when you don't actually have the monster fight in front of you, or like actual monsters to be hitting each other, it can kind of...
You're panning over San Francisco going like, oh, there's supposed to be a fight going here.
Exactly. So you might not know how to shoot that as opposed to shooting footage of people.
I I feel as if on a director's cut we might get more of the monsters.
But I'm just saying, comparatively, when you're doing Tokusatsu Godzilla the traditional style, when you have the guys in the suits, you know precisely what it's going to look like, because the guys in the suits are right in front of you. And I think that's just a difference in filmmaking style.
Yeah.
Edwards, to his credit, though, came up with some really clever ways of working around budget restrictions, which I don't think this movie had a tight budget. But things like...
you can't see me, I'm shaking my head going, no.
But, like, things like, so we see a lot of shots of soldiers running around on the ground, and they explain that partly through the Mutos, the bad monsters in this movie, release EMPs. So... most military vehicles don't work anyway, which means you don't have to pay to use big tanks and planes and things. That's smart. That is using your budget well. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and, you gave away something else, the Mutos.
The Mutos, yeah.
2 of them, making toys near impossible to find of whichever one you like more.
Yeah, we got,
I think all the toys are of the female.
From what I've seen, yeah, at least the ones I've seen at Toys R Us.
The ones that, like, if it's got red or orange on it, it's the female.
I will say I liked the fact that Godzilla had 2 opponents. I liked the Muto design a lot.
I liked the male Muto a lot more than the female one.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of Mayfly.
I hate Mayfly so much. They're so gross, and I think that's why it was fun.
That's the thing, though. The Mutos were really gross.
Yeah.
So, other spoiler, I guess, is that these kaiju, and they don't say the word kaiju, they say Muto for, I guess that's
the entirety of the thing.
Their general term for any big monster. They feed off nuclear
energy.
And they claim that there used to be, the planet was entirely nuclear energy once, which is how Godzilla and his mates would have fed themselves, which I'm pretty sure is bullshit.
Hey, we would have been a sun!
But, whatever, you know, I don't go to Godzilla movies or science, because if we start using science, then according to the laws of physics, Godzilla shouldn't, you know, exist.
You know, past the bullshit nom-nom radiation, I enjoyed the fact that they were popping nuclear missiles like they were Pez.
That was so... But so if you saw the trailers thinking, oh, this is going to be a bleak, you know, disaster movie that has giant monsters in it, no.
It's a strangely hopeful movie with giant monsters in it.
It's every bit as lighthearted as the better Godzilla versus films are, I would say.
I'm gonna say it's a combination of the lightheartedness between Mothra and King Ghidorah.
Yeah, between
those 2 back-to-back movies of amazing.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Yeah, it's very, it's hopeful. Like the stakes are high, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of hope in the story. Don't go to this movie because you like Bryan Cranston.
No. No. Unless you want to see him being a raving psychopath for a little bit, go for it.
On the other hand, if you're...
Well, not psychopath, more like lunatic.
If you're a fan of Ken Watanabe, and if you're not, why not? He's pretty great as Ishiro Serizawa. He
plays... He's not in it as much.
I wish he could have been in more of the movie, yeah. But
I feel like his part was cut forcefully.
I was amused that the one Japanese guy in the cast just happens to be the kaiju expert.
And, he was also the one who was like, Godzilla was here to stop
the Mutos.
And it was like, holy crap.
I also like that eventually, like, later in the movie, his entire function in the plot eventually
is to be like, hey guys, let the monsters duke it out.
Like, let the monsters fight. I'm serious.
I'm serious here. All your crap is electronic. You're not gonna accomplish shit.
Which is funnier also because, not only does he get to say, yes, let the monsters fight, but for me it's a little bit funnier because, coming soon with Otaku Tonight Productions, I produced a kaiju movie spoof trailer, and we actually had one of the characters in our Godzilla spoof straight up say, use the same logic that Serizawa uses in this movie, but I did it as a joke. This movie does that same kind of dialogue of maybe, like, let them fight and hopefully the one we're cheering for will win. He actually advocates this. This is a plot point.
Well, the thing is that the entire setup of the movie is saying that Godzilla is the strongest thing on the planet. The entire setup.
Yeah, Godzilla is the great equalizer. This kind of agent for Earth who, if things get out of balance, he's there to...
It's kind of a cross between the message of GMK and the original 54 movie. Mm-hmm.
Except,
less anger.
Well, I was about to say, GMK and the original 54 movie, but with Godzilla...
more Mothra's anger towards Godzilla.
I was about to say, with Godzilla acting in the part that his enemies played in GMK, as the protector instead of as the...
And it's really cool. It was kind of like Godzilla reprising his role from Ghidorah, Three-Headed Monster.
Really, it was Godzilla reprising his role from Ghidorah onward for the Showa series, because after that movie he was the good guy from there on out.
And he protected the Earth.
And we definitely got more of that in this movie. So the main human character, there is a main human character. He's not...
I think we learned his name, like, it finally sunk in that his name was Ford, for me, almost at the end of the movie.
The main character is very bland. I hate to say it.
He exists to react and look like a slightly more beefy Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, he's not...
He looks like a Shia LaBeouf with less hair and more of a neck.
He was very white bread. I didn't think he was that... He was, like, the most uninteresting thing in the movie, which kind of was...
Like, his kid was more interesting. And his wife was more interesting.
So, I guess that's probably the most unfortunate thing in the movie, is that it spends so much time on...
On this guy whose name I learned halfway through the end of the movie.
It stuck... See, I learned it at the beginning of the movie, but the only reason it stuck in for me was because I'd read Hitchhiker's Guide recently, so anyone named Ford, I just roll my eyes at.
He kind of fit the description of Ford.
It sucked that, though, that they, honestly, I kind of wish Bryan Cranston would have been through more of the movie, because I was kind of more compelled by his character than I was by Ford. Because Cranston, first act of the movie, he loses his wife in what they claim as a nuclear reactor meltdown, and of course it's
Muto.
It's Muto. And he becomes a crazy conspiracy theorist, and Ford goes to talk to him. And this whole time, I'm thinking, oh, well, this is going to be the story of how they get together. And spoilers, nope. As soon as Muto finally takes its monstrous form, Cranston, dies. 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. And
so, the guy who I actually liked and was interested in leaves. And then, which left me with Serizawa, who doesn't get a whole lot of screen time either.
Okay, spoilers. There are no psychics. I was confused.
We've been watching, with all those 90s Godzillas we've been watching, not a single psychic showed up in this one. Aw.
Yeah.
That's probably for the better. I don't think new audiences to Godzilla would be willing to swallow the full crazy pill yet.
And, Mothra's cameo was cute.
That was funny.
You probably wouldn't have noticed it had I not said anything.
I would have noticed it.
I was like, hey, you just pet larva thing, Mothra. Ah! I was actually scouring the background in every scene involving a house for a Godzilla toy. I was highly disappointed.
I think that would have been a little too meta. Just a little.
No.
I guess I liked the backstory that they had. That this Godzilla was not created by
anything.
By at least not by human hands.
He was pre-existing, and he's been around for a long-ass time, so he's probably sick of everyone's shit at this point. To be fair. And can I say that I like the use of white and the use of absence of sound?
Yeah, they did a really nice job with that. I agree.
Like, a lot of the movie is dark. A lot of the movie is dark. And there's a brilliant use of the color red and a brilliant use of the non-color white. And
they didn't do that weird color correcting thing like they did in Pacific Rim, which I kind of liked. As in, I liked the fact that they kind of let it go natural tones for most things. I thought that was really neat.
I really liked this movie.
I really liked this Godzilla. I would have liked to see him fight more, but he was pretty damn cool when he was fighting.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, tail whip of justice.
You have to wait a long time before you finally get to see Godzilla kicking ass the way that you want him to, but it pays off so nicely that it's hard to not be happy with it. I mean, he's so cool in this one. Okay, so Mutos. Like we said, there are two Mutos.
One of them's preggers.
One of them gets pregger. That's actually That's
the only real huge negative you have is you could have done without the creepy impregnation scene.
Holler at me if you agree that was totally gross. Super totally gross. Like, aside from that, the Muto designs were a lot more interesting than I was expecting, which was a relief, because I was worried about crappy monsters.
The toys don't do Muto justice.
No, they don't.
And, like, I would love a toy of the male Muto more than of the female one, even though the female one is technically more interesting on the eyes when she's preggers.
I'll say that just the general what I've seen of the toy line for this movie has been kind of crappy. It's the closest thing to cool is that, and even this isn't even like cool from like as an adult collector. If I were a kid, I would be
the Destruction set?
Yeah, I'd be all over the Destruction City set where you get a bunch of buildings and bridges and yeah. Incidentally, I wish we could have gotten to see a little bit more of it. But I loved that Godzilla defends like people on the ground from
yeah, you noticed that too.
Yeah, Godzilla like on this bridge, these army guys just start firing willy-nilly.
And there are civilians on that bridge.
Including at Godzilla. Yeah, there are like kids in a school bus, and Godzilla takes the missiles for the kids.
And you get some amazing scene setups, like in the evacuation scene, you get to see, in the background, framed in the center of the shot, in the background, the morgue director.
Yeah, I was like, that totally... It adds that extra level of dread. I also liked that the military was in the movie, but it wasn't like, a freaking Michael Bay Transformers where it's like worshipping how awesome and great the military is, or like Man of Steel for that matter, where it's like, yeah, the military's amazing. You don't get that vibe from this movie.
You get the anti-violence vibe, if anything. You get the that vibe, because everything they do is basically a disaster.
Yeah, with an exception for Ford, most of the military people you see are completely wrong about everything.
They're incompetent when it comes to fighting kaiju.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm gonna like bring up that army guy from the internet who's like, yeah, well, you know what? We totally would.
The army is prepared to defeat Godzilla.
The army is prepared to defeat. No.
The entire
No.
point of Godzilla is that armies of any kind can't beat him. If you think you can beat him, then you clearly don't understand.
Did you watch the movie? Did you watch any Godzilla movie?
What I got a kick out of to give an idea of how much hubris these army guys in the movie have is they know that the Mutos feed on nuclear radiation, so they keep bringing nuclear missiles.
More nukes. These Pez, and they're just dispensing them to them at like huge quantities.
Yeah, like the Mutos just like they're just like literally eating them like you said, like
it's
Pez
the
dispensers.
buffet car. Literally, in one scene, it's the buffet car. They delivering nuclear missiles in warheads, like nuclear warheads in missiles on a train, so it's the buffet car coming straight at the mouth of the frickin' Muto.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like, well, it's like, okay, you guys know they feed on radiation. Yeah, but this one will blow up so much that they won't be able to survive. That's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life.
It's gonna take Godzilla out, too. Okay, did you hear Serizawa's explanation at all when he said that, like, they used to thrive when the Earth was covered in radiation? Like, you could throw Godzilla in the sun and he'd have a party.
Yeah, did you like the, speaking of the radiation thing, did you get a kick out of the opening credit sequence?
I loved the opening credit sequence.
Like
how they used older Godzilla in the opening sequence?
Well, I liked
they used the older design.
My dad was really excited. We went to this with my dad because, my dad...
Family people,
yeah. Besides, my dad was the person who, let me see my first Godzilla movie, so of course he's got to come along for this. And he was, like, really excited because they would do that old Cold War redacted messages over the credits, and I thought that was really...
I kind of want to, when we get the DVD, to pause and actually read what it says, because it does say something in there about, like, the Holocaust and all sorts of other things.
Well, I was reading... There was stuff about, like, the plot that it projects right there in the credits.
Oh,
so
nice.
That was really cool. So overall positives, Godzilla when he is there is fantastic. The story is solid and feels like an old Toho kaiju movie. The Mutos are pretty awesome. And then and what you get of Ken Watanabe and Bryan Cranston's great. The negatives...
main character dude is just kind of meh.
Yeah, main character is bland as hell.
And I think that the not showing the entirety of the kaiju fight actually works in its favor. Because it keeps Muto as more of a mysterious character, and actually, to some extent, makes you care about Godzilla more.
I can appreciate that, but I also...
You're there for monster punching.
I wanted to see monster punching, and I was really disappointed by not seeing a lot of the kaiju fighting. Yeah. So I would rate that as a negative.
Positives that I would like to point out, repeating themes and repeating visual cues.
Yes.
Birthdays being one of them, playing with toys being another one.
Separation of family.
Children and separation of family.
Actually, the opening sequence makes the ending sequence really strong because you know that it was when Bryan Cranston's wife went down, she was just doing her job, and that's how she died, and that's how his family got separated and torn apart. And then you see Ford's wife is staying behind to do her job during, she's a nurse during all of this destruction.
And you're scared for her. Like, okay, I cared more about his wife and kid than I cared about him.
Yeah, Ford was just not an interesting protagonist. I will admit, like I said, I did get a little bit of Transformer syndrome, though, where during the final fight, they kept cutting back to army guys, and I was just like, I want to see the monsters. Please stop cutting back to these guys. I get it. They're doing things. But then but again, the monster fight you get is so worthwhile. Mm-hmm. All your favorite... Don't worry... If you were worried, what if I don't get to see my favorite like little trick or move Godzilla does.
Yes, he doesn't slide on his tail, and he's not gonna kick someone in the junk.
I was about to say, my favorite Godzilla move, the tail slide, does not appear, but every other one does.
Also, no jumping in the air and dancing, and no high fives.
The jumping in the air and dancing is they're waiting for the sequel. That'll be great. I can't wait to see this Godzilla.
I'm gonna pick you up and throw you across the room.
I want to see this Godzilla with his stubby feet jumping in the air.
His adorable stubby feet.
Doing the dance from Astro Monster.
Yes, I just called Godzilla's feet adorable. He's a lot more stocky, and I kind of like that.
This chunky Godzilla had a very expressive face when you get to see it.
And he was like a sleeping puppy afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I almost did cry at the end, because the idea of Godzilla dying really upset me. Yeah. Doubly so since it's been, 10 years since his last movie, and the idea of him coming back only to
die is not a good thing.
Only to die after not really even getting a whole ton of screen time. But
then, like, part of me realized, oh, he's been alive for more than a millennia. He has technically survived all 5 mass extinctions.
I like Godzilla as the defender of Earth. I really liked that.
Hey, I just threw in some Cosmos stuff for you.
Yeah, I'm sure Neil deGrasse Tyson would love how scientifically accurate this movie clearly is.
Yeah. For bullshit science, it was pretty consistent, at least.
Yeah, that's true.
And it kept some of the bullshit science from the original movie.
Also true. What killed me was and they're like, they feed on radiation. I'm like, you guys never say specifically nuclear radiation. Like, literally.
He can come up to the sun and be like, hey.
Well, not even just like I'm talking like, lamps emit radiation. I'm just saying, it's not, hell, basic regular fire.
The flashlights?
Yeah, that was very so I was a little perturbed that they never clarified that, but whatever,
And I'm actually really bothered that EMPs apparently don't work on flashlights.
That was weird.
And radios. But other than that, we're good.
It was still a really solid little movie. I would give it a solid B, I think. Yeah.
I'd go more on the B+, A- range.
Okay. Yeah.
Myself, because it had a pretty solid plot, all things considered.
Oh yeah, the plot was really good.
It had gorgeous execution. Beautiful special effects. Thank you, Legendary.
Yeah, thank you, and Weta Workshop. Weta Workshop deserves a lot of credit.
Weta and Legendary.
If I were to, in the off chance that, because of course people at Warner...
People are going to assume that all sorts of things are interconnected.
Oh, I was going to say, people at Warner Brothers, of course, listen to what we have to say, which is why I need to give my advice. It's that for the next movie, definitely bring back Ken Watanabe and give us a more interesting main character.
I'm going to request a psychic. I don't care how far-fetched the reason for the psychic needs to be, but I like having the psychics there. I think that having someone who's able to converse with Godzilla is important.
You know what I liked? It just dawned on... I don't know why I didn't mention this before, but you know what else I really liked about this movie? It reminded me of something that I really liked in the first Gamera movie. Or not the first, but the Gamera trilogy from the 90s. Gamera Guardian of the Universe.
You're gonna have to tell me, because I just kind of zoned out on those movies so hard.
Specifically, that, despite the fact that Godzilla is the hero, that the army doesn't get that. So the army wants to blow up both monsters, including the one that's actually trying to protect them, and they're jumping the gun. I thought that was an annoying, but at the same time realistic way of portraying that situation.
How did you think of? I know Ford was a very bland character, all things considered, but what did you think of his devotion to doing the right thing?
he has good character traits. I think they just picked a really boring actor to play him. I think that might have just been it.
Yeah, his facial expressions really hurt.
But yeah, no, his the character himself, like, he does the right thing. He has this great moment where he does something to really piss off Mama Muto.
Set shit on fire.
And what is really cool, and admittedly what would have been better had they had a better actor playing Ford's part, was that Ford gets these two moments where he gets to be face to face with
Mama,
with the kaiju, both with Muto and with Godzilla at one point.
He gets 3 or 4 times when he gets to be face to face. Actually, 4 times total.
Oh, that's true, yeah. But I really like that
he encounters Mama 3 times, close up.
But I like that Mama Muto and him have this, like, there's this instant understanding of, like, pure hatred from Mama Muto after he tortures her babies, essentially. And then I also liked the kind of, you get a similar thing of him giving that look of understanding with Godzilla after, when Godzilla kind of gives him the everything's going to be okay look.
I think Godzilla's part cat, because he did the blink. He blinked at Ford.
I really liked how I said it before, but I liked how expressive Godzilla's face was.
On that note, Mutos were also very expressive.
Yeah, they were.
Not only were their voices expressive, which could really tear into your soul, but their faces were too.
Uh-huh.
And this is pretty funny because, like, aside from the fact that they are computer-generated faces, they're pretty expressive, all things considered.
I honestly kind of felt a little bit of a Spielberg vibe from this movie. I mean that in the best sort of way.
I don't know his traits at all. I'm sorry. I'm such a dork when it comes to movies that I don't know anything about them.
Heavy usage of special effects, but having enough heart behind those special effects that it doesn't feel hollow.
I feel like everyone who worked on this movie cared, except for someone who clearly injected way too much Botox into the main character dude's face.
But
like the Navy commander dude, Navy sergeant guy was even really into his role.
So yeah, go see Godzilla 2014. It's very entertaining. I'd rate it.
Go see it if you know what's good for you.
Yeah, it's good. It'll
if you know what's bad for you, go see it too, because it's not bad for you.
It's it's a fun little introduction to the character. I hope they do more with Godzilla, and that I get to see more of him as a result.
That would be great.
But this is a good starting point.
Yeah. It is a very good starting point. And I would like to say that if you are going into this movie, realize that you are going to go through some emotional ups and downs during the movie. And if you are a loud movie watcher like I am, you're going to want to isolate yourself from the rest of the audience. Preferably in the back of the theater. And, warn the people sitting in front of you going, hey, I might cheer really loudly.
Hey, there was that one dude in front of us who was, cheering for the same crap we were.
Yeah. But thankfully we were kind of isolated. Except for that dude who just really needed Fritos. He got up and left and got more refills on his drink and popcorn and stuff 10 times during the movie.
I think that wraps it up pretty well, yeah. So yeah, go see Godzilla. I would say
worth your time.
Worth your time.
Worth
fun.
Your money. Really worth your money. Please support the Godzilla movie.
We didn't see it in 3D, but it seems like it'd be the kind of movie that would be cool to see in 3D.
I want to see it in 3D.
I kind of do too.
So, yeah.
Until next time, I'm Nick Izumi.
I'm Rena Innocenti.
Keep on spockin'
in the free world. And don't let the kaijus bite. Oh. That would be nasty.